The last 1,000 years in Bury St Edmunds have been remarkable by any measure. Probably a small Saxon settlement here in 1020 grew into one of the wealthiest and biggest abbeys in Europe by the time of the dissolution. And then of course after the dissolution it's been a story of decline really of the abbey itself, and the town has continued to flourish all around it till we get the beautiful place we see here today. I am Libby Ranzetta. I'm the current chair of the Abbey 1000 group that has been coordinating the celebrations for the Abbey Millennium. The idea for this year of celebrations was formed by the Abbey of St Edmunds Heritage Partnership that put together a programme of events and successfully fundraised from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. One of the things we wanted to do was involve schools and school children in the whole year, and we did that through the arts.
My name's Jackie Burnett. I'm on the Abbey 1000 committee. I'm a Bury person. I've lived in Bury all my life. I did go away, but Bury drew me back. I love it so much. My parents were both farmers, so I have a real grounding in Bury St Edmunds, and I think it's so important that the younger generation feel as passionate about Bury St Edmunds as I do. Part of the Abbey 1000 was a heritage project which involved schools and young people in the town.
Order throughout the trial. As a judge, it is also my job to provide a guilty criminal with their sentence. That is their punishment. Please be seated.
I am Mr. Thompson and I'm the prosecution barrister.
So events like this are fantastic. It gives me a chance to give back to our community of the school I attend, and also gives us a chance to bring history and law to life for these children and really teach them something about law and history in a completely different way that will make them remember it and ingrain it in their mind. So I'm really hoping that the children here today leave knowing just a little bit extra. Mr. Corder, the jury have decided your verdict, and it now becomes my most painful but necessary duty to announce to you the approaching end of your mortal career, that you be taken back to the prison from whence you came, and from thence on Monday next be taken to a place of execution, and that there you be hanged by the neck until you are dead.
Around 240 children over the past 2 days have been experiencing the heritage of Bury St Edmunds and the Abbey, and so that includes Moyse's Hall, the Guildhall, the Abbey Gardens and the Cathedral. What we do when we take them to the tower is we lay them on the nave pavement and let them look up at the beautiful decorations at the top of the tower.
One of the things we did workshops with each of those organisations and then brought their learning back to the schools, where they created plays and pieces of music and various artworks. And the day started with a rally in the Ark. Everyone was dressed up and there was lots of noise and excitement. It was absolutely fantastic, and they were enacting the hanging of William Corder.
Hang him, hang him! The poor man was definitely guilty and he was going to be hung in the Abbey Gardens.
Beautiful and sweet, I never knew you was someone waiting for me, 'cause we were just kids when we fell in love, now knowing what it.
They're fun, they're positive, they're lively, and they're so interested in what's going on and what they're creating. It's a joy to work with them. We had children creating a mosaic for the Abbey Gardens in the crypt.
Those are two Vikings that killed St Edmund. They cut off St Edmund's head.
We're making a series of mosaic pictures, 9 individual pictures, which will end up in the crypt in Abbey Gardens amongst the ruins. They're going to go around a plinth, and all 9 pictures will come together and tell the story of the legend of St Edmund. And Philip has drawn a picture here, which we've turned into mosaics.
With the Abbey 1000 projects, I've been working with different age ranges, and they learnt an awful lot. Rather than studying from the books, they were able to bring things to life and celebrate that history.
Louise, who's coordinating the mural, actually asked me to partake, and I've actually created supposedly a dove. I'm not quite sure it looks like a dove.
My name's Louise Gridley, and I'm a freelance artist, and I have designed a couple of projects for Abbey 1000 which incorporate working with young people within our community. We're working with students here at Abbey Sixth Form College, and they're coming in lunchtimes and in study periods, and they're really enjoying it. It's such a lovely material to work with, so everyone's finding it like a little sanctuary down here. To mark this event by having a legacy piece of artwork in our town. We don't really have anything like this at the moment, so I've designed these 2 massive murals to go in situ at the back of the apex.
It's really hard to pick a highlight for me because I enjoyed everything very much in a different way. I mean, the manuscripts exhibition that kicked it all off was superbly presented, really interesting, wonderful to see those ancient manuscripts and their gold lettering and the monks' doodles in the margins. That was something else.
It is really special because we're very fortunate to have on display 7 documents, manuscripts which were created by the monks of the Abbey of St Edmund just behind us, a few hundred yards behind us, in the 12th century. When Henry dissolved the Abbey, all the documents were dispersed, and we believe the Abbey had some 3,000 manuscripts. 120 of those made their way to Pembroke College, Cambridge, so we understand. Of those 120, we have 7 documents on display today, and these were owned by Suffolk men who in 1599 were persuaded to transfer them to Pembroke College for safekeeping. And they did. They've been there ever since. So this is the first time these documents have been released for display, the location where they were made. And there are the 7 wonderful documents from the 12th century, and you'll notice the Berry House style on some of them, the illustration in colours, the illumination in gold, and the glossing, which is the notes to the text around the outside in much smaller writing.
My name is Martyn Taylor. I'm the chairman of the Bury Society, which is the civic society of Bury St Edmunds. Definitely, I think communities were brought together as they were in 1907, over 120 years ago, when the town put on a fantastic pageant celebrating the history of the town going back over hundreds of years, and this is where the whole town was involved then. Moyse Hall is a great supporter of the town. The artefacts that they have actually got in Moyse Hall go from, for instance, the Fornham sword, which dates from 1173, which was a battle that took place just outside the town, and where the royal forces were led by a banner of St Edmunds, taken from the Abbey. So there's so many other depictions within the Moyse Hall, such as the monk coinage known as bishop tokens. All these sorts of things helped to reinforce the heritage and history that we have in this town.
The team of Moyse Hall, we're really proud to be the stewards of the town's collection, and indeed West Suffolk's collections, and that includes aspects that are collected from the Abbey itself, both through excavations or items that have ended up in private collections and thankfully found it into public collections later on. A chance to highlight that collection this summer, thanks to the lottery and council funding and sponsor funding, has been an absolute dream come true.
Is there an event that you would like particularly highlight?
I think things like where we had community involvement, such as the picnic in the park, where people not only had the fantastic weather to enjoy, but there was a series of events. People could access history and heritage of the town.
My name's Robert Everett. I'm a county councillor and a district councillor here in Bury St Edmunds, and I've lived here in Suffolk for about 47 years now. I love the town of Bury St Edmunds. We're very fortunate. History's been very kind to us here in Bury. We have 1.2 million people walk through the Abbey Gardens annually. So it's a well-known and well-loved part of Bury St Edmunds, and not just the residents but visitors come here en masse.
I've been coming in here since I was really small with all my friends, and we always sit in the sun, we'd play on the playground, a bit big for that now. Just sit in the shade and enjoy the birds and the squirrels and just have a nice time. So friendship and community, that's what I think the Abbey means to me. Greg?
Yes, I agree with that. Friendship also, and the shade.
Yeah, all the shade today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, the Abbey is a lovely, remarkable, historical place, and we're very, very lucky to have it.
On our doorstep.
We used to live in St Mary's Square where I had my children, and the Abbey Gardens was a place that I and the children came. You walk through the churchyard and then through the Abbey Gardens going into town. It's such a beautiful place to be. During the pandemic, when we went out for our daily exercise, coming here was like an oasis of peace, because it was such a hard time for us all. So yeah, very special place to be.
I've no doubt that growing up in Bury shaped what I do in writing historical fiction, and the Abbey Gardens in particular are something I remember very, very fondly from my childhood, exploring but also touching that stone. And the minute you get close to it, you feel the kind of, in the fabric of the stone, you feel all the different people who have been in these walls before, the violence that's tainted the past, but also the moments of peace and hope as well. And I think we're so lucky to have that still and to be able to celebrate it in this town today.
Mine's Brandon. And my name's Ava. And I like down on that wall. Let me touch it. I like playing on there because I keep on winning, and I like going over there to play with the sword, and that's only what I like. And I like going over there to do the swords because I love it.
I've lived in this town for 30 years. I just enjoy so much coming to the Abbey Gardens. When my children were young, they called it the Happy Gardens, and I think that's a very nice way of describing it.
I came to Bury St Edmunds about 14 years ago, and I felt I was coming home. I think the spirit of place in the Abbey Ruins is magical. And in one of the events earlier in the Millennium celebrations, we had a number of Benedictine monks and nuns who came to Bury. And they had a service in the Cathedral, and then they walked around Angel Hill, through the Abbey Gate, and into the crypt. And the Cathedral choir sang plain song, Anglican bishop and the Roman Catholic bishop said prayers together. For me, that was probably the most moving moment of the whole Millennium celebrations and my life here now. Thank you.
So today, we have made a short pilgrimage to reclaim these ancient stones once again, and on the site of the shrine, though long since torn down, to listen, to pray, to give thanks for the faith of centuries, to reclaim that faith for ourselves for years to come.
We had two organised pilgrimages, one from St Benet's in Norfolk, which is where we think the original monks came from to found the abbey, so it's recreating that walk. over a few days, and we also had a shorter walk from Ely Cathedral, and both of those were very popular and very much enjoyed by the people that took part. And they culminated in a day where we looked at pilgrimage, we looked at the past and present and possible future of pilgrimage, because of course it was pilgrimage that made the Abbey great, and you could argue made the town great. So it was a lovely look back at that and to try and remember or try and think how it might have been all those years ago. One of the events we did this year was to have the Suffolk Philharmonic perform a piece specially commissioned for the millennium, and that was held in the Cathedral. They performed beautifully, and it was very, very moving, not a dry eye in the house.
I found the orchestra incredibly well drilled, and it was perfect, a perfect sound. Thoroughly enjoyable. I'll have to buy the CD. Thank you.
It was wonderful that Abbey 1000 could support that concert. This is a professional orchestra, and it's not easy to put on a concert like that, but we were very happy to have made that happen, and everybody enjoyed it very much. So the final event of Abbey 1000, the pièce de résistance, is going to be the light show, where we'll see projections onto the Norman Tower and the side of the cathedral, projections created by artists using the story of St Edmund and the Abbey, but also using artwork created by local people, using sounds created by local people. And to complement these light shows, there will be a lit trail around the Abbey Ruins that the college has put on.
I'm from Bury, so I remember growing up in Bury, and that's obviously helped inspire quite a few of the design ideas. Autumn was going to be a jack-o'-lantern, a Halloween lantern, and then there were going to be bits of candy and stuff like that. And then Christmas was just going to be loads of presents, and then when we really boiled it down, we went, actually what we remember is being in the Abbey Gardens and the flowers and like enjoying being out in a really lovely open space. And obviously that comes with the pressure of the fact that there are people that have their own memories, so when they're walking around here, there's quite a lot of pressure to get it right.
I really enjoyed it because obviously I can see stuff from a point of view of having nothing in the space to having this light trail that I thought that everyone was going to really enjoy, and turns out they did.
It's amazing. We can't quite believe it's come to an end now, and it's ended on such a high with the sound and light show, and now this lovely mural, which will be a legacy to the town, and hopefully more people will know about Bury St Edmunds and Edmund and the fantastic history we had. 1002 years ago it was all set up, and just people haven't been aware, but this year hopefully they'll have learnt a lot more.
This really does sum up the year for me. A tie, as everyone said, between the town and our heritage, created this time by young people of this town. I am so pleased and honoured to be here to see the mural being officially unveiled by Mike, who is the chair of West Suffolk Council, and to be able to thank Lou and all her amazing, fantastic students who have created this amazing piece of work.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hooray!
I think the legacy will be, well, the memories in people's minds of what they attended and what they learnt, and perhaps how they feel about the Abbey now and the town. But also more physical reminders, the interpretation panels that we worked with English Heritage to produce that are around the Abbey Ruins, the artworks that will remain around the town, and a sense of the community perhaps coming together to be proud of the town and of the Abbey and its role in history and in our local history in particular. I suppose for me, the relationships that have formed between the organisations that have worked on the project that we can now take forward into the work of the Abbey of St Edmund Heritage Partnership that will continue to tell the story of the Abbey of St Edmund. So as chair of the Abbey 1000 group, I'd like to thank everyone that's been involved, that have given their time and effort and 100% commitment. It's been a real team effort, everyone's worked very hard, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you to everyone.
The Abbey of St Edmund is a very special place, a sacred place. It's a place that appeals to people of all different spiritual practices and traditions. For Christians, its Christian heritage is inspiring, but all people come here to find peace, to reflect, to contemplate, and to think about the meaning of their lives.
Thank you.